Hello, my friends. It is I, Camera Mandy, and Alphinius just texted me saying that he has technical difficulties and he's getting it fixed right now. So, in the meantime, I'm going to bring on three very special guests that we have today, who are all masters of the craft of building terrain. So, without further ado, let's say hi to Todd, Joe, and Paul. Hello, friends.
Good evening.
Good evening, indeed.
Good to be here, Mandy. Thank you.
I'm still hung up on masters. Masters? Ooh.
Masters of building trees.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And we are going to start our show today with a very important question that has been asked many times over in the stream. So hold on to your hats first. We're going to introduce everyone. So can you all take a second to just say hi and introduce yourself, give your name and what you do? Starting with Todd.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
Hi, my name's Todd Putnam. I run Creative Adventure Tables, a Facebook group where we focus on terrain setups for where we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, OSE, or whatever system that you're playing. And we've got about 46,000 members we just hit. And that's all we focus on is terrain.
Alphinius, hello.
Well, hello. I apologize. I had technical difficulties trying to get in here. And of course, I also, because I am, as I'm working from home today, this is Camera Mandy's idea, I felt that it was appropriate and apropos that I have a cigar while we are enjoying your marvelous terrain, gentlemen.
Ooh, I wish I could join you, sir.
Mm-hmm. At Gen Con, I will bring some. And we can have a cigar in an evening when we are at Gen Con. Anyway, it is great to see you three. Hello.
Great
And you, Camera Mandy.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sitting outside in this beautiful weather in Colorado. We live in the mountains, which is a nice place. And I will shut up now so that you all can do all the cool things that this is the damn finest question of all.
This is the question that will be like Haunted Wolf once again has predicted. But let's continue on.
Well, I just want to tell everyone the way I store it at our house is they are all over our downstairs, which makes Ms. Goo quite frustrated, is the word. Anyway.
I have to give the Goo answer, which is how and where is it stored, everything? Well, obviously in a bag of holding.
Joe, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Joseph Timothy Adams. I'm a cinematographer out in Los Angeles. I've also been working on a Dungeons & Dragons actual play, so I'm the creator, producer, and dungeon master for that. It's been a wild ride. We did a little Kickstarter. We raised a little bit of money to shoot a few episodes, so we shot 4 episodes, and now we're editing them, and that's the small gist of it, but we're very focused on high cinematography and a lot of miniatures for the show.
And look at all of Joe's stuff behind him.
Yeah.
See all that crap? This is how you store things. This is the question.
It's on display.
You have them spread out all over the place.
I love it. I always have to if anyone comes over, I have to say I have a collection of dragons and they're everywhere. So if you can get past that, then we can be friends.
And Paul?
Howdy, Paul Hostettler from Central Texas. A longtime Gooey friend and contributor. Pretty much in the COVID era, I really started getting into Dwarven Forge and kind of reconnected with my RPG hobbies and passions. Got heavily invested in the terrain scene, and now I just build for fun, for the community, and for all you online wonderful persons out there as well.
Awesome. Well, let's start by talking about storage, since this is the question that everyone has asked in every episode.
It's the most boring of all.
So, Todd, this is your storage, correct? No, this one is Paul's.
See how it's nice and organized?
That's later.
That's your clue right there.
Okay, so Paul, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you have going on here?
Okay. So anyway, you could back up like 4 pictures.
Yes, I think I started this slideshow backwards. Let me That's weird. Sorry, they're all out of order.
I
Give me just a
apologize,
second.
Paul. It's a low.
It's what we
budget
call
production.
low budget production. Exactly. Hold on. Let me reopen the slideshow up again.
Andy, we're supposed to be talking about organized storage, and you can't organize the pictures.
I know, but I don't know what's going on. It's doing it weird. I can't fix it. We're just gonna have to go with it, guys.
Okay, you just got to go with the flow. This is what
Yes.
I do this all the time, Paul. Just so you're clear, I just go with the flow because if you don't go with the flow, it just is horrible. So
Let's do
do
it.
the best you can.
You know what? Why don't we just mix it up? When the picture comes up, whoever owns that particular picture can just speak about
Right.
what that picture is telling people for storage.
Yes. Hold
Camera
on.
Mandy bouncing all over the place right now.
I'm
All
trying
right,
to get
here we
it-
go.
Is
This is storage for people who have ADHD? Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna just start from. I don't know why it's all mixed up, but we're just gonna start from this one.
This
and
is good.
yes.
This is good, right?
So,
here.
Okay.
Start
this
right
is
here.
my final incarnation storage here. My mother-in-law generously worked with me to build the shelving. When I say worked
Oh.
with me, I mean she did about 98% of the work. I did about 2. All of my terrain, I try and keep in these little plastic. They're like kitchen container storage boxes. I group them by like type of piece, by biome. Eventually, the dream is to have everything color coded with a label of what pieces they are. And the idea is just by walking through this narrow hallway, I can pick out which pieces I want to build with. I grab the trays, I move them to my build surface, take them out. And then most importantly, when I'm done, everything goes back into its particular box. So that way, whenever I'm looking for a certain piece, I know where it is.
Awesome.
It's the
And
theory.
so this is
Place for
just another
everything
view
and
of it.
everything in its place.
Yes.
So
Okay.
you can tell by this that that Paul is very lawful. Yes,
I
very
think
That would
lawful.
make sense. Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's plenty of room on here for Cities Untold, plenty of room for Starforge, and then Todd,
Is
you.
this you, Todd?
Yeah, so this is my storage. So I have like in those larger bins, that's 10 sets of one particular style of Dwarven Forge or the castle terrain or whatever it is. And so I just have these large bins that are all labeled for the type of terrain that they are. And then I have some sub-bagged. You'll see that in future pictures, but you can sort of see like in that picture right there where it says basic dungeons, you can actually see a bag that's in there. In that bag, I'm going to hold it up because I brought a thing in there. But in that bag, I have like all of the floor tiles. And the reason why they're sub-tagged, they're sub-bagged, is so that when I'm going through, I'm never at a question for how many tiles do I have left in order for what it is I need to build. So I'll never get 3/4 of the way through a build and realize, oh, I can't build this. I can see coming up how much I have left. And what that does is it saves time. A very important concept for when you're building is saving the time. And so just having it organized like Paul has in his, having it labeled, and then for me having it sub-bagged like that. There it is in the regular large container. Allows me to just grab and go, okay, I've got all my floor tiles. Oh, I've got all this specific type of tile. And then my corners and my normal walls are large enough, and I've got them separated on the sides of the bins that I just go, this side of the bin is the straight walls and this side is my corners, and I'm pulling, and I'm not spending any time looking. I'm spending 98% of my time building whatever it is that's inside of my mind.
Okay.
That's just a quick picture showing where I keep my books and stuff, and then you can see like on the top I've got now I have 3 of the ships. I have a pirate ship, a merchant ship, and a privateer ship. Basically, I've got some siege towers. I've got a fog machine. That's just some of the bigger terrain. Then I've got some of the books. That actually looks different now, but that's some of the various books that I have. And then I've got some materials that don't fit in a specific box or whatever it is. That's an older picture. So before they came out with good snow train trees, I actually had Christmas trees from snow terrain for snow villages that I was using. And just, it's not what was it meant for, it's what can I use it for? And so that's what I focus on.
Okay.
That's a shelf right there that just shows some of my larger minis, some of the rare ones or the more fragile that can't go in small boxes. I have them there so that way they don't get broken, they don't get lost or anything. And they're just there on display as soon as I need something. Oh, I need my large earth elemental. Wham, it's right there and I can grab it. I don't have to worry about it getting broken or anything like that. So just that's what that is for a display shelf where the rest of them will go in small boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
have
those right
anything?
there.
Do you have anything that's like alphabetical order?
It's not. It's not. So it's actually in order that I use it most often, kind of as far as that's concerned. And it, like Paula was saying earlier before in the show, everything goes back to during where its original location. So again, you're spending less time looking.
So Joe, just to be clear about that, Todd is sort of chaotically lawful. Right?
There you go. There you go.
Now, if you saw my downstairs, you would see true chaos.
Chaos. I love it.
So I consider myself chaotic good, which is like I have a purpose, but you may not see it until it's too late. Okay, is the kind of the way that I do things. So, and then that's just what it looks like inside. Now, some of them I took all the mini cups out of it, so that some of the mid-sized monsters and stuff just all fit in there, and like you can see, all the giants and stuff just all fit in that one on the left. I've got the one on the right just has a whole bunch of spell effects and whatnot in it. The other one's got different types of terrain or different monsters and stuff in there. And so I know which case it goes in immediately by the label on the front of it. And so I just pull out that one case and I'm ready to start building for whatever that particular biome or type of creature that I need is. It's all right there in that one case. And again, speed is the key. And if you can't find it, there's no reason to have it. Because you won't be able to tell stories with it, and that's the entire purpose of having the stuff is to tell the story. So the organization, the goal of that is to serve the purpose of supporting your imagination when you're telling your stories. You've got to be able to lay your hands on it in order to be able to do it. So 2 places: 1, to get it actually done on the game while you're running it, and 2, quickly enough that you don't lose your creative flow while you're in that flow state and you're building. You've got that creativity going. You want to just be able to grab and go without having to think. If you got to spend 20 minutes trying to find something, it's going to bust your creativity and you may not be able to get back to that place you were. Super larger terrain and stuff like these are foam houses and stuff. So those are too big to fit on the shelves that I have. So I basically have them all in big bins, and I have 2 that for city. And then there's some other types of foam terrain that are in there for Underdark and things like that. But those go into some giant bins. Again, you can see it, right there labeled on the front. That one box is turned around. But I could just by looking at the box, I know exactly what's in there. So again, I'm spending no time looking. I'm immediately pulling the box and building whatever's in my mind.
Hey, Todd, how space intensive would you say foam is?
Pretty intensive, because it literally cannot be broken down like, say, Dwarven Forge. Dwarven Forge, the benefit is you can break it down and build something entirely new. With foam, the good thing is it's fast, but the bad thing is it takes up more storage space, because it's always the size and shape that it is. And then also it's always going to be exactly what it is. With Dwarven Forge, you and I, we all know you can build 1,000 different things with 100 pieces. With 100 pieces of foam, it's a variation of the same 100 pieces every time when it's a set building.
So let me interrupt for a second, because Mr. Blawface put up a very true comment right there, which cameraman you could grab, which is that, and I know this is not necessarily about storage, but Joe or Paul, you could comment on this a little bit too, and certainly you, Todd, in terms of using things that are not their intended use, like things from aquariums and such like this. Go ahead, Paul. Throw out something there real quick. Then we'll jump back to storage.
Sure. You can go to hardware stores. You can go to like tourist places. You know, those little gemstones you can buy a bag of. Those are wonderful. Even if you don't actually have terrain, if all you have is like sketch paper or a battle mat, just buy some pretty colored rocks and throw them out. And this is a tree. This is a river. This is a goblin.
And it really does. It really does. Joe, do you buy stuff outside of the genre, outside of the hobby, or do you just buy in the hobby?
Yeah, I think my favorite story is that I've gone to like a dollar store, and you go and you either pick up some crappy like a lion, and then you pick like a bear or whatever, and then you can cut them up, and then you can like super glue them all together, and then you can easily like repaint it, or get like a action figure and spray paint it all gray and use that as like a giant statue for something like that. I've done that in the past.
Yes, and Todd, as you and I have discussed, stuff from fish aquariums, stuff from lizard and reptile aquariums. I mean,
Right.
you've done a lot of that, so you could
Yep.
speak to that.
You go on Amazon or whatever and do a search for fairy garden stuff. And a lot of
Yeah.
that, you'll find little
100%.
bridges and things that you can use are fantastic for that. Little rivers and stuff. That's fantastic. You go and you find 1/12 scale dollhouse stuff. And
Mhm.
you find furnitures for that, and now all your giants and stuff, your hill giants, stone giants, and all the fire giants and stuff, you can actually have furniture and stuff put in there to a scale that helps dwarf the little characters that they're playing. They're 28 millimeter, and it all sort of fits. And but you wouldn't find that in traditional D&D stuff. You got to go look for dollhouse stuff and then find stuff, and there it is for you.
Yeah,
Well,
hobby
and the-
store could be your best friend.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And the thing is that really, terrain can be very, very expensive. And these items, certainly if you want to do an undersea adventure, aquarium stuff is fantastic. If you want to do any kind of a desert scenario or that kind of stuff, a lot of things they make for reptiles, for jungle environments and those kinds of things. And so you aren't spending, $20 on a plant, right? Or $15 on a plant, you're spending, 99 cents. And so this, and what you said earlier, Joe, about pretty rocks on the battle mats and all of that stuff, this is, I used to be a Ghostbuster. Yes. Yes, there's all kinds of things that you can do that doesn't mean that you have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on terrain. All right, go back. Sorry.
Fake grass is another good one that I use a lot.
Yes, absolutely. On the tabletop, you got those roll out grass mats, and I mean, there's a lot that you can do.
So this is a top-down view of the different storage trays that I use. This is my caverns collection. So it's all grouped together in the same area. So you have like banks, you have floor tiles. You'll see I do sub-bag the trifecta pieces just for celerity when it comes to picking them out and matching them up. But yeah, next.
Paul, it does take a lot of discipline to not only have them like this and put them back every single time that you use it. It's very, very impressive.
And one of the challenges is also the kind of the Tetris of it. Because, yeah, you can throw them in like really haphazardly, but you're going to end up needing like twice as many containers for it.
Mhm.
So before I got the Wonder Shelves made, these were it's a modular tool storage system from Home Depot, rugged. And so on the top, you had like these toolbox with individual inserts for like all the little fiddly bits and the small non-tile pieces. And then below them, every box had its own like biome. So there'd be like a sewer box. There would be a cavern box. There'd be a castle box, as you can see labeled there. Unfortunately, as you can see, my that little hallway there was kind of narrow, and it's a bit of an eyesore. So that's why we decided to kind of upgrade into custom shelving.
Yeah, what kind of real estate are we talking about in all your guys' houses that's taken up by this?
No
An
comment.
entire spare bedroom for me.
Entire spell. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
I keep everything on display for the most part. Either that or they're in like dressers or in drawers. But I have a 2-bedroom apartment, but 1 bedroom is all film equipment. So I'm looking to upgrade to a 3-bedroom, and then 1 bedroom could be all miniatures, then film equipment, and then for me.
Okay.
But by the way, when you talk about repurposing terrain, when I have a spare bedroom full of stuff, that works great for guests that I don't want to stay at the house. I'm sorry, I have a spare bedroom, but all my dragons are in there. And so I don't have room for you to stay. So that's it's multi-purposed.
How about you, Paul?
So I pretty much have a game room where I have all of my board games, my resin collection, a couple display cabinets of painted and like collectors, dice boxes, and 3D printed stuff. Like this cabinet behind me here, I have a whole bunch of board games inside. And then the hallway between this game room and my kitchen, that's where I installed the shelving.
Okay.
I have another display cabinet in our living room, just kind of for.
Oh, here's
the show.
this worked out great. This picture is of what's behind you, I'm guessing.
Yes,
This is your
yeah. So
cabinet.
this is my game room.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, the toolboxes, I just kind of line them up to pick out the little bits. I have a rather small table. I hope to upgrade it to a proper gaming table at some point. Mr. Alphinius, I know that you're also looking for that upgrade, and we all await with bated breath to see what kind of wondrous.
Yeah, when's that happening?
You know,
You've been talking about it for like 2 years now.
I mean, soon.
Do I need to order your table for you?
So Mike wants our pool table.
Yes.
So I'm gonna get Mike the pool table, and then I'm gonna order the table for the house. But the thing is, there's been 3 new tables that have come out in the last year that I'm very interested in looking at those in person. So I'm trying to make some decisions here. I need to get moving on it. It's part of the timing aspect of it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a game theory. I have a game theory gaming table that I really like. It's behind me over here there. So it's a big I like that one.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a nice one. We have a nice game table at the office, which is by Hammered Game Tables. I'm also looking at Wormwood and a couple of others. I mean, they've come such a long way from 10 years ago, and I'm really excited to have the double decker, the possible ability of the double decker table.
Yeah, I really liked, especially with mine, like because there's a recess in it. So sometimes what I'll do, even with my miniatures, is I have leaves that go on top of it. So I'll have a build on top of everything,
Yes.
and then the players will play, and then I'm like, okay, you're gonna go into the sewers, and then what I'll do is I'm like, okay, they think I'm gonna remove the top city, but instead I take off the top of the table, and underneath it is the sewers. So that's been a pretty fun surprise.
Yeah, I think that flexibility is wonderful, and again, this is part of the process, because I also do this at my house, although I haven't done it in a long time because really the stuff is strewn about. And part of that, the problem with that is the conventions, right? We're going to these conventions now, and we're bringing a very inordinate amount of my materials to the conventions to do the Gooey Dungeon game shows. And also, of course, our organized play. So like if Luke and I are running a game together based on the Guys and Gags Kickstarter, I'm bringing a bunch of terrain for that as well. So it really does create a lot more chaos in the downstairs of my house. So I'm definitely not high on Ms. Goo's list right now.
And if you're lucky, Joe, you might get invited to help the Gooey Cube build up their dungeon before the Great Gooey Game Show.
Yeah, if you
Me and
want
my
to
wife last year had the good fortune of being invited to that party, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Was it
Joe, we'd
amazing?
love to
Really?
have you if you
I
want
would
to
love to
come.
be there. I'll be there. Let me know when.
Okay,
And-
I'll email you
and
afterwards. It's gonna be a
Shameless
great time.
plug, if you have not seen Alphinius Goo run the game show, you really have missed something. You need to. It's an amazing experience. It really
Must
is.
do.
5-star showmanship.
Okay,
Yeah,
Joe.
well, I think the game show is truly a lot of fun, and honestly, I get to give a tremendous amount of credit to Mandy and the rest of our folks who help out so much. It's just it is a massive production, but it is wonderful. And if you haven't signed up for it and you're going to Gen Con, don't make the mistake of missing it. I think are we over 400 tickets yet? Cameron Mandy, are we getting close?
Yeah.
Do you even know?
Yeah, we are.
Yep.
Yep,
So
I'm
400.
signed up. So I'm
yeah,
ready
so
to
we're
go.
moving towards 500 tickets sold, and last year we had a ton of people walk up and they couldn't get in because we were in the smaller room.
Yeah.
This year we're on the big stage, so we're pretty excited about that, and we've got some wonderful guests, and of course the terrain is going to be magnificent.
And if you are not at Gen Con, you should come watch it online because you can still win prizes and be a part of the stream.
Absolutely,
So,
and the
yes.
online people have the most fun because they talk a lot of smack.
Yeah, if you go to gooeycube.com/giveaways, there's a lot of information there. So,
Yes.
but I want to talk about, go focus on Joe for just a second. Sorry, Joseph. Do you prefer Joseph or Joe?
Joe, but Joseph is more like the professional.
Professional.
way.
Okay, yeah. I just know you by your Instagram handle, which I think is Joe
Yeah.
Adams. What is it? You have a lot of
It's my last name, so it's Adams Joe
Joe.
330. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a great Instagram following.
Thank you.
So yeah, no, I mean, it looks like you've been really building up like a community over the course of I don't know how long, but how long have you
Yeah.
been doing this?
So most of my work and everything and like Instagram is focused on my my film career. So I've been a cinematographer for about 9 years out in Los Angeles, and then during I've been like a Dungeons and Dragons person for a long time. I was the president of the Dungeons and Dragons president of the Dungeons and Dragons club at my college, and we ran that for like 3 years. And then during COVID, I started doing a lot of the D&D stuff because I was stuck in home, and I was like, well, I'll start filming a lot of my miniature setups. And then that led to one thing into another, and then I started 3D printing and making stuff, and I was like, well, let's make a show, and that's sort of the small gist of it.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little. I'm going to go through your pictures here. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you started building your collection and what made you kind of decide to go in this? I know you said that during COVID you started like filming your cinema, like you just started lighting it. Talk to us about lighting and how you got into everything.
Yeah, so it really did all start in during COVID. So I had the my original idea was I was going to film my miniature setups and try to approach companies that were 3D printing things and be like, "Hey, I can make a commercial for you, and these are, here's like my portfolio of things that I've shot." Because a lot of like Kickstarters and stuff, for the most part, a lot of the 3D companies had just um it was just like either cell phone footage, or it was just a 3D rendering. It wasn't an actual, like, you didn't really see the piece in action.
Right.
And I wanted to bring that like cinematic touch to everything. So me being a cinematographer, I was like, well, let's just see what we can do. And then I did a lot of building, 3D printing. I bought a couple 3D printers, and then I started just kind of going crazy. And I have I don't know, obsessive personality. So I'm like, let's just get more and more and more and more and more. And it's turned into what it is now, which is a show.
Yeah. So this is your show, right? This is you filming the dice. It's called the Dice Decide.
Yeah. The show is called The Dice Decide. It's just an actual play of us sitting around playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's very, very modeled after Dimension 20. I was very influenced by them. Big fan of Dimension 20. Ironically enough, I did have a chance to be a camera operator on one of their seasons, and a couple other things that they do at Dropout.
Yeah, looks amazing. So where are you filming this at? Like, is this a soundstage?
So it's my friend's studio. So he has a studio that is a cave, and people go in there and film just random commercials, music videos, random things. And I thought it would be perfect for the setting for our show. Originally, what I wanted to do was anytime the players go to a new location in the story, I wanted to sort of film at that. So if they go into, like a forest, I wanted to build a forest behind them, but that's just the cost of that is just way too much. So
Understood.
yeah.
So is all this your camera equipment?
I would say 90% of it is mine. So I own all of the lights. I own. We shot with 5 cameras. 3 of them are mine, and then 2 of them were. I have a really good connection with Canon cameras, so Canon sent me 2 cameras that I was able to use, and then I had to send them back.
Amazing. Sorry, I'm geeking out over all this. As the name would
Camera Mendy,
check.
how come you don't have a relationship with Canon cameras, so they send you cameras to use for
I'm
free?
too busy having a relationship with Alphinius Goo and Gooey Cube and all that stuff. So anyway, wow, it is quite phenomenal,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
really are doing something that I don't think anyone else is really doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm guessing this is a smoke machine.
Yeah, so it's a little handheld fogger called the Smoke Genie.
Uh,
Super cool for like miniature stuff. I'm actually when in my games and for the show, I'm going to like rig up like a hose, and I'll have like fog, like when I'll cue the fog when it comes in and things like that for a little for a little added element.
So
okay.
is that like fog juice or water vapor or dry ice?
It's I think it's called vegetable glycerin, I think is what it is. It's some type of like similar to like mineral oil, and the machine, I don't know, works its magic and produces fog from it.
Does it leave residue?
I It depends on how long. If you're using it like once in a while, it's fine. But if you use it for like hours and hours, I've noticed like a little like a oily, sort of like an oily feeling to it. But I'd take just like a damp towel or whatever and wipe it off.
Awesome. Well, why don't we switch gears over to Paul? And Paul, I'm gonna just go through. You have like 50 photos, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go through them, and you can talk a little bit about your journey. And I'd also love to hear a bit about what you do for the library. I'm sure our guests would enjoy
Oh,
that as
yeah.
well.
So there's our local community library has approached me asking, "Hey, are you available to run some D&D for some children that we have that have shown an interest?" They had a number of other DMs. Oh wow, this is out of order.
I don't know what happened with these slides. I have no control right now. Oh my god,
Okay.
Paul,
So
that's
this
gorgeous.
is
I
Master
know
Chief.
what happened with these
This
slides.
is probably my magnum opus and was the last thing I wanted to show.
This is gorgeous. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's just a Starry Night backdrop. The slide before that kind of showed you the foundation. So this was kind of to get that that horizontal and that kind of you have to change up that z-axis,
Vertical.
and that's where the pros play. So this kind of shows you how I set up a platform of multiple different levels to kind of create a rising build. Because flat on the table is great and fine and quick, but when you're really looking to go above and beyond, you have to go up.
yeah, no, absolutely.
But what about down?
Or that. So this is my first terrain set ever. This is a company called Dungeon Stone out of Houston, and they were selling these little like concrete stone tiles out of Owlcon was where I saw them at Rice University. So yeah, basically these little cement tiles, you kind of dip them in black, dry brush them, and it's actually like having stone on your table. So very heavy. Storage was a bit difficult because they had to be individually stored because they would beat each other up and break. But it gave a really nice tactile feel to them.
Alright.
So this is just a caverns and mountain. It had KS2 caverns, caverns deep tiles from Dwarven Forge, and then their Aranthor Mountain from their Castles campaign. And with the right lighting, they all kind of just blend together seamlessly.
Yeah.
So these are some FDM printed from the Leichenheim line from, I think it's 3 Layered Scenery. They have a number of Kickstarters, and arguably I say they're the absolute best. If you can only have one medieval town STL set, I would recommend Leichenheim.
Paul, do you paint as well as purchase?
Yes. Yeah, I usually prefer factory painted just because it's kind of a harder enamel. I want to pause right here. So these are like marble tile counter samples from Home Depot. So I stole a bunch of these little sample cards, and if you can throw some banks or chasms around them, it's like free terrain trays. So keep your eye, or you could print these on your printer, grab them from Lowe's. Like we said,
there are ways to economize. And this
Sure.
is one of the ways, right? This is, because look at how good that looks, right? And that's just literally samples, the sample sheets.
I'm sure you could also just because Home Depot has like this entire section of scrapbooking paper with different textures and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's loads of little things like that that would make it cheaper to purchase.
Oh, hey, look, DM
Okay.
Chris says that he knows the Dungeon Stone guy.
Ah, we
yeah,
go to
I
his
got the
Halloween
name
party
too.
every year. Connected.
You got to put up that little. Come on, cameraman. You got to be all over the chat so you can put those.
I'm doing the slideshow, but I will put this up over your
Oh,
face.
camera Mendy, multitasking. Do that way. Look at your guests how they're multitasking, right? Oh, that's
so these 6 builds were part of a family D&D. If you just go back real quick. So I had, let's see, a 6-year-old girl, 8-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, and 12-year-old boy, and me and my wife each made our own 12 by 12 build, and then we ran it together as a family, where the mission went from build to build. So that was a lot of fun.
That is very sweet. Kind of a way to see how everybody's brain works a little bit differently. I love that.
We got a question, cameraman, for Paul.
What is the lava? Is that paint?
If you post it up, there you go, cameraman.
The lava is that paint.
So I'm guessing
about this one, or
yeah, I'm guessing it's this picture over here.
So that would be Dwarven Forge's Hellscape line, and that's all factory paint. Which, back to your earlier question, Mandy, I do prefer factory painted. A, because it's quick and easy and professionally done. B, Dwarven Forge uses a kind of an enamel, a
Yes.
paint that doesn't chip or scratch or.
I mean, you've seen it, right, Paul? Your cameraman, you've seen this where you can just dump them right into the box
Right.
altogether, and you don't have chips, which is wonderful about their products. Sorry,
Yeah.
Paul, go ahead,
So
please.
the only things I paint are things that I can't buy.
That's
So, for
fair.
example, like, we'll see some. Oh, this is just a nice, gentle, sloping hill from a woodland to a mountain. The next slide. So that kind of shows the elevation difference, which is what you're really looking for. Next slide. And that's kind of, behind the scenes. That is how I tiered the bases in order to get that incline.
Oh, okay. What are
it
these?
doubles as a game of Jenga after the D&D session.
Yeah. I know. What are these?
So those are, again, Dwarven Forge stilts. They sell
Ah.
them, and they come in different sizes. Sometimes you can use them as terrain. Sometimes you fill holes with them, and sometimes you just use them for support.
And they are magnetic. Yes, Paul,
Yes.
they're magnetic.
This was just a really long map, from sewers to caverns to a smuggler's den to some hellscape and then back out to the forest. So a lot of times you can kind of create a narrative story. So this is an example of a 12 by 12, something, these are, I believe, Whiz Kids, tents, and it's their outdoor adventure camp set. So I just dropped them down this 12 by 12. And this is something, pretty much every adventuring party needs. I mean, whenever you're traveling from point A to B, this is something you just keep on a shelf and put down on the table whenever it's that time for a long rest or camp. This is another simple 12 by 12 build. It's just so handy. Next slide. To have this small constrained space where you have everything you need for your adventure, for your story. It doesn't take a lot of material. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it's just a playground for your players.
Well, one thing we had talked about before the stream was 12 by 12, like being minimalist to help expand your creativity. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, maybe I'll start and then you guys can jump in, because I actually do something different than I know Todd and I think Paul. I don't build ahead of time. I literally have the map, and then I have my players actually build. They take out of the train and they actually build the map as we go along. And so the map it does give more flexibility in terms of being able to have a larger build, more expansive build, up and down build in that regard. So I do it differently. I mean, we end up with some spectacular builds, obviously, because they keep building and it gets better and better. But I must say that I do sacrifice some level of inspiringness that you get when you do a pre-build. But that is how we do it at our table.
I like that.
So, if you
but Todd, I do want to finish that question though. But Todd, you pre-build everything, right? You are all ready to go. You ask them ahead of time.
I do. So at the end of each session, I ask them where do they want to go next, and it doesn't matter. I'll have, of course, dropped leads, plot hooks throughout the game. They can pick one of those, or they could pick a plot hook from a previous session, or they could literally just make something up and say, you know what? We want to see if we can find a Spelljammer ship and go flying off into the astral plane and hunt astral pirates. They could literally say whatever they want, but whatever they decide as a group, then that's the adventure that I build for them. Because I'm pre-building it as a complete homebrew adventure, there's literally no way to cheat. They can't go on the internet. They can't buy a book or anything and like that. It's going to be just whatever crazy thing that I make up. So it's always going to be a surprise to them what the specificity is. And it doesn't mean they're going to get what they want. It just means they're going to go where they said they wanted to go. Those are two different things, okay? It doesn't mean, well, we want to go to the cave where the treasure is and we want it to be unguarded. Good for you, okay? That doesn't mean that's how that's going to play out. And then sometimes I'll say, well, you could go there, but it's going to take you a couple weeks. So there's going to be at least 1 week's travel session first, and then we'll get to that. Do you guys want to do the travel session? I go, yeah, okay, great. And we'll do it that way. So that way it's kind of it's my way of balancing both worlds, where they have the freedom to go wherever they want to go. And yet I don't have to design the entire world ahead of time. I only have to design the area that they're going to play in. And I don't waste 1 second of my time writing up, hundreds of pages of scripts about these locations that they may have no interest in. So it economizes my time while giving to them the very campaign and the agency to decide what direction they want things to go in and what plots they want to pursue. I'll put out plot A, B, C, D, and E. And I have no idea what any of them are until they pick it, and then my brain goes into motion, and then I start fleshing it out for the next session. So it's a way of economizing my time.
Yeah, and that's a very good example of building in the illusion of choice in your games. Joe, do you pre-build? What do you do?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of pre-builds. I've been focusing on a lot of more of one-shots for people. The biggest downside of being in Los Angeles is it's really hard to get the same group of people to meet up for almost anything out here. So I've been inviting whoever wants to come in, on like a free Saturday. Whoever's available, I'll have like a time slot type of thing, and then they just come and we'll do like a one shot. So I have like 3 or 4 different like one shots that I've been pre-building, and then I'll run those for like new people, and then I'll do that, like I'll try to do that at least once a month.
Awesome. I see a question from I think that's Josh asking that question. So I do, if I have pre-built a dungeon, and I do sometimes pre-build, okay, I absolutely have black felt, and I think Todd, you use black cardstock, but I use black
or black napkins, large black napkins and stuff like that you throw over it.
I bought felt from the craft store, little 6x6 sections, 12x12 sections, and they're perfect, right? In the old days, I used socks. That wasn't so good. It kind of ruined the ambiance.
Hopefully they were clean.
You didn't have to tell them that this part of the dungeon smelled. That was part of the ambiance. So I have pre-built. But what you said right there is, how does that work if the players set up the dungeon as they go along? Because I have wonderful maps, right? I'm Josh, as you know better than most, right? And everyone on the stream, I think, knows this. I am big on visuals, right? And so I scoured the internet in the old days before there was the ability to make maps and print them in full color and print them in large sizes. So then I can put those in front of people, and I use black sticky notes on maps for the Fog of War. So then we would remove that. So they move into room 2 from room 1. They've already built room 1. I remove the sticky note from room 2, and then they build room 2. And they can see that there's 2 passages going off from room 2, but they can't see where they're going. So it also, for me, one thing I do think is nice is I do have people at my table that like to play with toys. And so people who like to play with toys love building, right? Because like Todd, Todd and Joe and Paul all love to play with toys. Like me, I love to play with toys, right? And there are people at your table that love to play with toys. And so the opportunity, some of them just would prefer to sit back and let the other guys build, but some of them love building. And so that is another way to involve and engage your players at the table, is to give them the chance to build. So that's another option that's available to you. If I could add just one last thing on the Fog of War, also the terrain trays that Dwarven Forge builds, the 6x6, the 12x12 terrain trays, you can pre-build sections of your dungeon or adventure on those that are not on the table. And it's not until the players, or unless the tables find the secret door, that you then bring out that terrain tray and set it there. So they don't even know to look for a secret door because they don't have a room sitting next to it that's covered up, because they're going, I'm going to search this wall for secret doors because I don't see a door there, and there's obviously terrain behind that, so I'm just going to search. Instead of giving it away that way, that piece of terrain tray isn't even there on the table for them to see.
Yes.
And then if they search and find it, then you bring it out into the room, and that's another way of doing Fog of War.
And I want to jump back to Paul's slideshow, but I want to answer Purple Hazy's comment here, because this is an excellent comment and it is exactly true. Okay. We put that one up, Camera Mendy. We who are terrain freaks, right, do remember the days, right? I do, when it was nothing more than dominoes. We painted dominoes gray and we used a battle mat. And then we had a few trees from HO scale trains and a few other accoutrements. And that was all we had for many years. And it was all theater of the mind. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, in some ways, it's probably in many ways the most magnificent way to play, because it really does fire up the imagination. So I really want to make sure everyone understands that even though all four of us are kind of terrain freaks, we do not want to diminish at all the wonderment of just sitting at the table with a grease pencil and a few miniatures and rolling dice. It's wonderful, still wonderful.
I say all the time that playing D&D is like everybody likes pizza, but everybody likes different toppings. Some people want just plain cheese. They just want pure theater of the mind, and that is fantastic. And other people want, full Sicilian with all the toppings and stuff. And there's not a right or a wrong way. You just find which people want to play the way that you like to play. And that's it. That's the right way to play. Absolutely. If you prefer pure theater of the mind, imagine me behind you cheering as long as you're having a good time, saying, go, 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 have fun.
Yes.
That's the way you should play.
Yes, and Harry's comment is right. There are great battle maps that have things underneath them as well that you can use, right? I see Portholus has arrived. The porthole is in the house.
I also see that they're trying to remind us to do Tiamat, and I was going to do that in about 3 minutes, but since we've already started.
No, do not let them talk you into it, cameraman. Do not be manipulated. We're going back to Paul's slideshow.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, hold off, friends. Okay, so what did you want to tell us about this?
So the thing about this is all unpainted Dwarvenite. You can save about 40% if you buy unpainted. And the thing is, especially with the cavern,
like it's like a gold cavern.
If you're doing like a completely dark cavern, do you really need coloration? I mean, this with the proper lighting can be all of the definition you really need, and save yourself quite a bank. Could you go back about 10 or so pictures to the floating like helicarrier thing? So this is my homage to Todd, who first inspired me when I was a baby builder, with his Cloud City, to kind of show me that there's so much more possible than just a 12 by 12 dungeon on a flat table, that you can have these wildly dramatic and creative approaches towards repurposing pieces for different things. So instead of it's a column, well, maybe it's a magic generator, and instead of a parapet, maybe it's a deck. So yeah, I just wanted
Can I add one quick thing? When we were talking about the different styles of play, a lot of it has to do with the style of the dungeon master, what they're comfortable with. Not everyone is Matt Mercer that can have the golden tongue and words just roll off. But you know what? They may be able to build something in front that creates the sense of wonder and awe that they couldn't do with words alone. And so a lot of it just has to do with the way that the dungeon master approaches it, supports their style of communicating their creativity. It might be easier for them to build and show than it is for them to describe everything in detail in words. So a lot of it has to do with that as well, too.
This is very cool, Paul, with the...
So Paul, this is the Dwarven Forge dirt caverns, right? This
burrows.
is
yes.
Burrows.
To my knowledge, it is the only Underdoom painted burrows in the world.
I was going to say, did you paint this yourself?
Yes, sir.
That's magnificent.
Nice.
Todd, do you have a little terrain envy right now? Joe, you got a little terrain envy?
That's awesome.
So
I have storage envy.
Yeah, I will be sending you a box. I will hope that you'll return it painted just like that.
Yeah.
Mandy, could you go back maybe about 10?
I like the glow in the dark. The glow in the dark stuff was
yeah,
cool.
Joe. Isn't that wonderful?
What are you looking for?
Forward.
Forward. This one?
No, go forward.
I want to experiment with like a black light with some of my minis.
Yeah, so I've done black light. I use the hue from Philips.
Okay,
I have those in the we have 6 ceiling little spotlights above the pool table, and then a pool table light that's over the top of it, and all of them have the hue bulbs in it. And I've literally created the Red Star in the Red Star Rising campaign, with one of the spotlights being red and all the rest of them being sort of purpley blue. Very fun. Very fun.
Yeah, I use bulbs. No, I was just saying I use bulbs as well, the color RGB bulbs.
So this is one of my chiefest sins as a builder is I fill up. Like I have so much terrain. I'm a kid in a candy store. I just throw it all on the table, and you end up with and I purposely kept this picture as somewhat of a mess to kind of illustrate how crowded and kind of discombobulated you can make a build by doing too much. Sometimes you have to know when to stop. And the Gooey crew saw this in person at last Gen Con when I filled up rooms, and Alphinius is like, no, dude, you pull it out. I need to have space for my players to play. So that is one thing. One of my two vices as a builder. One is I allow the terrain to dictate what I run as a dungeon master, and my second one is I crowd the table. So I'm working on it. We're getting there.
The rule of thumb I use is you want enough terrain that when they look at it, they're excited to play, but there's enough lack of terrain that there's room to play.
Yes, you got to have some room.
That's the balance.
No, that's the truth. And Nisku said something very interesting, because I know a lot of people do this. They use Minecraft to create maps, which is a wonderful mapping tool. So I happen to notice that in the comments.
Okay, well, I think it's time to open up questions. And wow, Paul, I love this. That's amazing.
This kind of shows the behind the scenes of when you make beautiful, with backdrops and lighting and building. So this is kind of what it looks like behind the camera.
Yes.
And then like the next slide, you'll see this is what you can get as a result.
No, I love this.
Yeah, it's just it's stunning. It's just stunning.
So let's go ahead and I have questions pre-written. If anyone in the chat has questions, we will love to answer that.
Let's answer.
Is everyone okay going a little bit long, because we have still so much to cover, and it's
let's answer T-Cat's question first, because they're asking for the socials of each one of our friends here.
My Instagram is at Todd Michael TODD Michael MICHAEL Putnam PUTNAM. So that's for me on Instagram, and my Facebook group is Creative Adventure Tables. That's open to anyone. And my YouTube channel, I believe, is at Todd Putnam. There's no middle name on that one.
And we get a lot of builds in the Gooey Game Master's Den from both Todd and Paul. They put up a lot of wonderful imageries, which is wonderful. And her start molds I have in the past. No longer, but I did in the past.
That's answering this question. And Joe, can you give your social medias as well?
Yeah. So my personal one on I do a lot of Instagram, so is Adams Joe 330. It's my last name, first name, and then 330. And then the show for the Dice Decide is, you can find that the Dice Decide on YouTube or any of the other socials. Okay. And Paul, you mostly post in the Gooey Den and the Creative Adventure Tables, right?
Mostly. There's a number of other Dwarven Forge, like the Dwarven Forge Discord. And then there's some fan groups on Facebook I'm also a member of. Like my space, I pretty much have two places. One is where I hang my family Dungeons and Dragons games. We record them and put them online. And then also Flickr. It's kind of like an artsy album catalog website. That's where I have all of my builds and miniature painting. And my wife does some stained glass work. I turn pens like on a wood lathe, and then cooking type stuff as well.
And how do they find you on those?
Come find me. I'll send you a link. It'll be on Gooey Cube, on their Discord and elsewhere.
Perfect.
And I should make sure everyone is aware. So Facebook has locked me out of my true Alphinius Goo account.
I did warn all these guys that this was coming, so go ahead.
What happened?
Good. Jeff got my message. Good.
Hey, I haven't got your message. Why did you warn everyone this was coming? I didn't do anything. It was
I know, but I just knew that you would talk about the Facebook thing. And there's nothing wrong. Yes.
So no, I won't diatribe. I will.
But that is true. There are Facebook messages. If you're messaging Alphinius right now, message me at Camera Mandy.
And nobody's seeing anything I post because I'm posting under the other Alphinius, and they're not friends with them or anything like that. So I've lost like 2,500 friends.
You have not lost it. We're gonna get it back.
I don't know, happened? Mandy. Facebook is ruled by strange algorithms and machine learning that is not AI. I don't want to hear this AI bull crap. It's
it's all your extreme political posts.
Yes, because I'm extraordinarily political.
It's the Eskar Goo, Jillian Ambrecht, Alphinius Goo, Darkenhaven mayoral race has really gotten under
Now,
Facebook's
honestly, in the
skin.
presidential election right now, I probably would vote for Escargot.
Oh, okay then. Okay.
Now,
Well,
Alphinius,
Now,
in general,
that is as
in-
political as I'll ever get.
in general elections, it's a fact that there is always a write-in. Okay, so you can always just an FYI for you.
okay. Let's
Hey,
go
shut
ahead.
up, Portolis. I see your commentary down there.
Let us first off, let's go ahead and do hashtag Tia map. Although now it's just the map, so you might as well just do hashtag map because we have given away
Mandy,
the
give
Tiamat.
them one or the other, for goodness sakes.
I know it's going to be the map, and we are going to be giving away the map on our 150th episode of Goo Morning Zyathé, which is coming up here in 2 episodes. So we only have 2 more chances. So hashtag map to enter to win the Darkenhaven map, the 66-inch one. And let's go ahead and do some questions for our people here. Okay, so first off, what is the best way to get into terrain for beginners?
With a rich friend. No. So my recommendation
It's better now,
would be,
though, Todd, than it was because of
absolutely.
printing, all kinds of stuff that reduces cost.
Absolutely. So my recommendation would be to start with, you got to know what your budget is. It's always going to come down to time, effort, and money. Okay, and which one do you have the most of? If you have the most time and effort, then you want to get into crafting your own stuff because it's not going to cost you very much money. And you can go to wonderful channels on YouTube and stuff, Black Magic Craft, and stuff like that they show you for very little money for foam and stuff, how to craft it and paint it, and they're works of art.
Todd, would you put that in the chat so people can see that Black Magic?
I'm not sure why my chat thing isn't coming up here for some reason, so I'm probably missing the obvious. But it's Black Magic Craft YouTube. If somebody else, if Paul or anyone's familiar with that, and then if you kind of have if you have way more money than you have time, then you want to go retail. So you're looking at Dwarven Forge, you're looking at Monster Fight Club, you're looking at WizKids, especially for minis, but for Warlock terrain. And then eBay, Etsy, you want to go there and just search for 28 millimeter terrain. And you'll find all kinds of stuff. And then like 28 millimeter dragons, 28 millimeter sci-fi, blah, blah, and you'll get all kinds of stuff that you can use to grab for that. So, and that's just, the box shows up, you open up the box, you put it out, and you're ready to rock and roll. And if you've got a mixture of the two, you got like a certain amount of money and a certain amount of time, and you're trying to, then 3D printing is fantastic because you're going to pay a little bit more for your printer up front, maybe $300, $400, $500, $600, $800, depending on the quality of the printer. But your cost per print is going to go down. The more things that you print, the less. Your first mini cost you $900, okay, but every mini after that gets a little bit less because you're not keep repaying for the printer itself. It's just for the STL files, which are definitely cheaper than going out and buying full retail. So, and then as far as the setups are concerned, I would recommend starting with something that's called Ultimate Dungeon Terrain, which is to say it's very modest. You get the floor mat itself, so to speak, and then you don't necessarily have all the walls. You just put in the scenery, like you just put in a couple of trees and you're in a forest. You put in maybe a wall or two, like just on the corner to say, okay, you guys are in a room, but you're not using a full tile set. You're just using accent terrain in order to tell the story. And then as you build over time, you can start filling in more and more details. You don't have to wait until you have a ton of terrain to start building stuff. Start small, go with the stuff that you can use most often. So if you've got a dungeon setting, then do a lot of those. If you have a lot of outdoor stuff, then get your trees and forests or whatever. And I think that's the best way to get started.
So there was a question from Blawface. Paul, what kind of printers do you have?
So I have a Prusa XL 5-head. I have 2 Prusa Mark III, a Mark III and a Mark 3S, I believe. And then I have that's for my FDM printing. So that's like terrain, like the big buildings and anything that like I want to be durable. I want to like bounce things around on. For the smaller things like miniatures, you have to go resin for the higher detail and the more dynamic posing. And for that one, I have an Elegoo Saturn II.
What about you, Joe? Do you got printers?
Yeah, I have 3. I have the Prusa Mark III, the Prusa Mark IV for FDM for the big like buildings and things like that, and then I have an Anycubic. I think it's an free premium for resin prints. Yeah, I would pretty much exactly, if you're getting into this hobby, exactly what Todd said. I would recommend starting with crafting. This is actually this is the first thing I ever crafted, a little like lava thing, which is made from toilet paper rolls, and then I have craft paint and sculpt the mold, and this
Hold
probably
it a little
costs.
closer to the camera.
Let's see if it'll focus on it. That
There
work?
you go. There you go. Very nice.
Don't go to. It wants to go to my face, but yeah.
Oh, and there's Paul pulling out his ship. This is called trying to outdo.
Yeah, but crafting, I think doing it yourself will also teach you a little bit how to paint. I think that's how I started. I started like painting a lot of little terrain, and then I was like, well, I need something. Well, while I'm building something handmade, I can 3D print, because sometimes a print will take, it can take 12 hours to print something. So I can craft something in that time, and then switch over to the printing side, grab that, paint that, and then just sort of flip flop between the two.
And Todd, what kind of printers do you have?
I actually don't have any 3D printers. I don't have enough. The room that I would do the printing in has all of my storage, so I don't really have a place to use a printer. But so what I did, this is a true story. I bought a 3D printer that one of my friends wanted and gave it to him, and then had him pay me back by printing stuff for me, and then billing out that towards the value of the printer until I had everything that I wanted. So
Yeah.
he has.
Well,
the
I have Riley. I wish Riley was here, because Riley does print in resins, which is nice. And because honestly, the right resin is much more durable than other resins. Some of these more, what you want to call safer, and they are safer, can be a little more brittle, right? The prints can be a little more brittle versus the real quality resin, right? The real quality resin, they're much more durable, but you have to deal with those fumes. Yeah. And there was a question in the chat. I think Blawface asked, a lot of people I know print in their garages. I know that some people actually have rooms dedicated to them where they can open a window and be able to air out the room and those kinds of things. Because you really, with some of these printers, you need to be careful. Do not fart around with these toxic scents.
Yeah,
this is magnificent. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, if you didn't watch this stream today, you made a big mistake.
You're saying that to all the people who are watching the
all
stream.
of you who watched the stream today, you are very smart. I just want to put that out to you. Your intelligence you rolled much higher than the rest.
Is that from the Dice Decides?
That's just from me messing around and playing around with my just cinematography skills. That's all that is.
It's TMND.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then Paul, this is your setup, your hellscape, right?
Yeah, the previous video with the lava, that was mine.
Yeah.
With a Fog Monster 2 setup for the now the biggest problem with Fog Monster 2, and that was actually a very unsafe build, because it had the Dwarven Forge light tiles underneath that have just like little metal pins connecting them, running the electrical current, and that Fog Monster 2 is just pure water vapor. So it literally drenched my entire build for that time that I had it running, with like pretty much live exposed wiring lighting from underneath. So that could have ended
Mandy,
very
show
poorly.
it again. Yeah, show it again.
Sorry,
show all of these again.
I will, yes.
Yeah, it was absolutely dripping at the end of just like even 5 minutes of
How long
running that Fog Monster.
Okay, so did you just let it, you just did it for like the few minutes, and then did you just turn it off?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
No, I didn't realize the sheer volume of water that put out until after the fact. And then I was like, I had a lot of electricity under there. Probably not the best idea.
Dry ice is a better fog machine, honestly, in my opinion, but it's also much more expensive because you got to buy the dry ice, and it's a nicer solution, but it's a more expensive solution.
But hey, we got the shot. That's what matters.
I was going to say for 3D printing, also, there's a gentleman on Thingiverse who makes a lot of free dungeon tiles. His name's it's Devin Jones. So he made a bunch of free STL files. If anyone's getting into 3D printing, and they're all free. I think it's OpenLock. I think is what he made all of his dungeon tiles. So I think you can also use it with like WizKids with different connectors and stuff.
Also,
Release
Kyle.
the Kraken. Release the Kraken.
I also released a bunch of stuff on it's on thangs.com called Todd Tiles, and it's for elevation builds.
They're the
So
best.
anybody, 3D printer, and that's perfect for being able to build up, and you can paint them in, so you can paint a brown, a gray, whatever colors you want. And they work great for elevating your terrain and adding that second layer, like Paul was so brilliantly showing earlier. I think Joe's going to get one.
Yeah, Joe's making a move.
Yep. There we go.
Here's all my Todd tiles.
Yeah, Todd tiles.
So they come in different shapes and sizes. Some of them have got corners on them, and there's some stair step ones that you can use, and they're half as long or whatever it is, 4x4s and stuff. So they're different things that you can use to put under underneath your Dwarven Forge or whatever tile system you're using, and just add that extra element of elevation to your terrain, which really makes it pop in the players' minds.
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Well, what is your favorite reason why you run sessions with terrain?
Because I suck at DMing without it.
It's definitely one of those things where exactly what Todd said is, I feel like when I have a hard time with like either explaining things or with words, but like I'm a very visual and like physical like learner. That's how I've always been. So when I can put something out there, I can describe it, or sometimes I get inspiration like, oh, I didn't think that, oh, something in that corner could be there. If I see it, then I can play off of that a lot more than just theater of the mind for me personally.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot about player engagement, player immersion. Like you can see them lean in when it's their turn. When the terrain is revealed, when it's their turn, they can lean in, and then they can immediately process so much more information than they could just by verbally relating to them the situation they find themselves in. Like, okay, well, let's see, I have a dead log over here. I have a low-hanging branch over here. I have a mud puddle over here. I have a fox burrow over here. I can work with that. I can do that. And that takes you beyond the normal, I rolled my sword, that's +5. It opens up so many more possibilities for them to interact with the environment around them and play that game in much less of a point-and-click kind of fashion.
Yes, because human beings, and this is why Gooey Cube does what we do, right? Human beings are by their nature visual, right? Our eyes are very important for most of us, right? And being able to see an experience is better than just being able to hear an experience. Being able to hear and see together, this is a good thing, right? And so that's why we do the handouts that we do and the portraits of characters and all of that stuff, because we do believe it does add to the immersion and which is what we're all trying for. We're trying to have them feel like they're there, right? That's the idea.
It adds to the immersion, and I would argue that it also adds to the efficiency. And what I mean by that is you spend less time describing, and the players spend more time actually playing, because you can just get away with a couple of sentences. You enter the room and you smell the smell of dead bodies or whatever it is, and there's a slight creaking as you see a door that's being moved by something unseen or blah blah blah, and that's it. And then after that, they can literally see everything in the room. Their mind is already churning for what they want to do by the time I get my second sentence out. So it's very efficient as far as they spend more time doing what they want to do, which is actually play. And it also is efficient in terms of it keeps them all on the same page. They don't ask, by the time it's the third person's turn, they don't ask, well, how far away are the stairs again? Redescribe this for me. They've been looking at it the whole time, plotting and planning. So I never have to worry about somebody wondering what they're going to do. By the time it gets to their turn, they've been thinking it out the entire time. It's a much more efficient play experience, in my opinion, than you describe it. And then by the time you get to the fifth person's turn, they might need something redescribed because they can't remember because they might have tuned out. When it's all there in front of them, they're all plotting and planning. And to be absolutely sure, theater of mind can be fantastic. I'm not saying, it can't also be great, but I think it requires a different style player to play that, one who's able to retain that information in their head longer than not necessarily everybody else can. So I think it works better.
I also do want to say one thing, though. Some people have asked me, why do we do, because we also do rather extensive verbal descriptions in our materials. As you know, I think, Todd, we may have even talked about this.
Sure.
Why do we do more extensive verbal description? And we always tell people to read or paraphrase.
Mhm.
because we do know that we do have people who play our games who are not visually impaired, right? They can't see as well. And so always the goal of Gooey Cube is to be as inviting and involving as much as we can be. And so because we know that some people play these games who can't see as well, that's why we also give very strong room descriptions in our materials as well.
That's excellent.
So, on the other side of it, what is the hardest thing about running sessions with terrain?
Cats.
Grandchildren.
Fair enough.
I think it's just time. It's just time. Sometimes it can just take up into prep. It can take up into, if you have to like build something on the fly or something like that. I think that's like the only hindrance that I've come across. So a lot of the times what I'll end up doing is we'll still do like a theater of the mind gameplay, but the settings and things, I'll have that visually for the table. So we won't really move our minis around the actual terrain, but it's just there for you to like look at and sort of be immersed in the setting than it is the actual whole gameplay.
I would say the biggest challenge you have would be depending on how you use it. Like some people, like Joe just said, time to set it up. But then again, Alphinius doesn't have that problem because his players are building it as they go. So it sort of depends on how you approach it. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I love using terrain, because it's there to serve me and my players. It's not there for me to serve it. So I make sure that it's serving my purposes of telling the story, being immersive, not taking too much time, blah, blah. Myself personally, I build it out up front because I love and enjoy the process of building it and bringing it to life. If I hated that process, I wouldn't do it, nor would I recommend somebody else do it. I would recommend doing it the way Alphinius does it, or just doing boss adventures or things like that. So if there's something about using the terrain that you don't like, my first question would be, what is it how is it that you're using it, and how could you use it that would avoid that challenge for you? Because that's really what it's all about, is making it more enjoyable. And if it's not making it more enjoyable for you, then don't use it, or use it in a different way, would be my reflex response to that.
So I want you all to answer this, but I'm going to tell a tale of that goes back about 20 some years. So 20 some years ago, there was a young person who came to play at my table, who I was also young at that time. I was younger, maybe it's 30 years ago. And for some reason, that person wanted to always pick up their miniature and bounce it on the head of the enemy. And I had to admonish that person: do not bounce my miniatures on top of the miniature in front of you. What do you say? What do you say?
Who was
Joe?
the person? Who was the person?
I'm not saying names. Are you kidding
I know
me?
this person then.
Joe, how did you? How protective are you of our stuff?
Not that protective. The best thing about a lot of my terrain is I 3D print a lot of my own stuff or make my own stuff. So worst case scenario, I just remake it, and I enjoy making it. So it's not the end of the world if someone picks up a house and drops it and it just cracks in half. Sometimes if it cracks in half, then you use that. Maybe it's a house that got broken by an earthquake, and then you just break it apart, and I'll slap like a mud paint on it and be like, this is a broken down house. So I just kind of go with it.
I think a lot of it has to do with the maturity of the people that you're playing with. Like if I'm playing with a bunch of adults and they want to pick it up sensibly and inspect it, feel it, put it back down, great. If they have like no attention span, if they're looking to play G.I. Joes with my minis, if they're knocking things over, then I'm gonna respectfully try and refocus them elsewhere. But like I said, it depends on the maturity.
Stop touching my stuff, you bastards!
Yeah, Paul, I don't think that we ever
Exactly.
finished your tale of like what you do at the library. Like, so
yeah.
you work with young kids at the library, and you bring terrain, correct, to the library?
Yes. So I'll pre-build all of my builds at home, and then I transport them in my minivan very carefully with giant 3 foot, 5 foot like sheets of stainless steel that I had pillowcases from worth of fabric from Hobby Lobby sewn over top of it. So they're like makeshift terrain trays. So I transport them to the library. I drop them on the tables. And then I usually run like the elementary level table. And then one of my older sons will run the middle school level table. And sometimes we'll actually almost do like a battle interactive type thing we're both on the same battlefield with the little kids facing something and the older kids facing something different. And then sometimes we meet up, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, one of the notes that we had in our document here was about transportation. So, how does everybody deal with transporting? I don't think that's a word. Transporting your stuff from one place to another.
Anchor magnets are life. If the
They
train
really
that
are.
you have either comes pre-configured with anchor magnets, or if you have to super glue them in place yourself, that's essential. So I have all these metal sheets. Everything is magnetized in place. Sometimes like spires and towers and train on top of train that isn't directly magnetized to a metal surface, I'll actually have to like take down and just try and remember where it was. So when I get to the location, I can flip it back up and take about 10 minutes just to tidy all of the tiles that got knocked out of place or everything that fell over in the car ride over. And
I think
then
it's
I have to drive
incredible.
below the speed limit, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it is incredible that you transport things pre-built. Does anyone else do that?
When I ran at a convention a couple of years ago, Southwest Florida Space Con of all things, I was running a game. And so what I used was the Warlock / Open Lock tiles. They actually click together. So I pre-built that and put that, and that made it a lot easier to set things up. I showed up way earlier than I needed to do. I was like, I'm done in like 15 minutes here. So
Right.
that made a big difference as far as that's concerned. As far as the durability, a question back is concerned, most of the stuff that I do at my house is Dwarven Forge, and if my players can break that, like I might give them some experience points because that crap does not break. That stuff is built some kind of seriously sturdy. I wish my house was built out of that stuff when hurricane season rolls around here in Florida, because that stuff just does not die. So.
Yeah, lucky enough, I make most people come to me, so I don't really go to many places with a lot of my terrain. But for the show and everything, I just put them in boxes as carefully as I can, or put like foam around some of the more fragile pieces, and then we'll transport that to the studio.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture from Gen Con of how we do it, which is basically just bins. And then we wake up at an ungodly hour of the morning and go to Alphinius's hotel room and grab all these bins on a hotel cart and get that over.
There really is no practical way to take this stuff across country pre-built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to go in a trailer, and so
We don't put it in the trailer. We always put it in the car.
Or in the car. That's right. We don't even put it in the trailer. We can put some stuff in the trailer, but the fact of the matter is we've put stuff in the trailer before. The bins have broken. All kinds of things have happened. But honestly, Kevin Mendy, that hour and a half or so, I've really enjoyed it. We obviously have Gooey people show up and we all build together, and they're like, "Should I put this there?" I'm like, "Just build it."
I hope Joe comes this time. I'm really excited about that.
I will. I'll be there. I'll bring my camera. I'll take pictures. I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a really good time. And my favorite part is stealing the hotel thing, because I'm a lawful good person who hates doing that kind of stuff. But Alphinius is like,
it's not stealing. They're meant to be utilized. All right, listen, we should go, cameraman. We're moving on 11:20, so
I know.
Let our good friends go here.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Well, yes. I mean, I thought this was going to be kind of a regular thing every 6-8 weeks or something like that, right?
Yeah,
it'd be fantastic.
Love to be here.
Yeah. Well,
all right. So I just got a couple of things that I got to do a little housekeeping. Do you mind if I do that real quick? It's just real fast.
Yeah, let me go ahead and let's let these guys go. We're going to finish off the show by playing Joe's trailer for the Dice Decide. And so, and please, everyone, follow what all these people are doing. But Joe is really putting a lot of energy into his show, and it's really spectacular. And we're just excited. I'm excited to see the 4 episodes that you've shot. And I'm sorry, I'm like gushing because
will there be another Kickstarter at some point for more episodes?
What was that, Paul?
Will there be another Kickstarter campaign at some point for more episodes?
I don't know if there'll be another Kickstarter. I mean, it is money that is really holding us back. So we'll see. I'm hoping that the episodes are really well received with the community, and we'll see how well we could do, like with either Patreon or sponsorships and things like that. But the biggest thing is I mean, it just costs a lot of money for what I'm doing, which is a little unfortunate. But
Will the
What's
show
that?
be available to watch for even people who haven't backed the Kickstarter?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So episodes will be free they'll be on YouTube. They'll definitely be free. There'll probably be ads or something. There'll be like an ad-free version for like Patreon members. But no,
Right.
all the episodes that I will ever create will be free to the public.
See, I think that is something that people can do. Just going and watching, and it's a free thing that you can go do to support someone who's doing something really interesting in the community. So please definitely go check out the Dice Decide. When are the episodes looking to be released?
I'm hoping in a couple months. I have an editor working on episode 2 right now. The biggest thing is music and sound effects and like miniature inserts. So there's a lot of elements that we can go to it, but we'll see how crazy I want to go with it. And all I want to say is like with the show, the biggest thing is we can't make a show without fans. Like that's the biggest thing. No matter what the show looks like, if we don't have like a fan base, if we don't have people who like it, it will never go as far as we can. So yeah, like you said, just like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things, and hopefully it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
I just want to add another quick thing about Joe's wrong way. Joe's show.
Yeah.
I'm back.
I know, man.
Joe's show. If you've enjoyed watching this because you're interested in terrain, watching the Dice Decide is a fantastic opportunity to watch a DM using terrain in a campaign. How he goes about that. You watch it, don't just watch it for the entertainment and the value of the show itself and the story and all that kind of stuff, but also watch it and learn, see how Joe handles using the terrain to help tell the story. What, if any, impediments you see in different ways that he goes around and turning that into disadvantages into advantages. It's a fantastic opportunity to get a whole bunch of questions asked just by watching somebody actually use it in their campaign.
Yes.
It's entertainment, but it's also an educational opportunity that you shouldn't really miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, please go follow Creative Adventure Tables on Facebook for just brilliance from many, many, many different people in our community. And Paul, hit him up. Find his Flickr. Find his what was the other one? YouTube channel. Yes. And we appreciate everything that you guys do for us.
Yeah, it was great to have you all
Yeah.
today. That was marvelous and wonderful images. Thank you. It's so fun to watch all these builds, to see all these builds. It's a really, really wonderful thing.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys soon, hopefully.
Yay!
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye, gentlemen.
Okay.
All right, Camera Mandy, I'll do this fast so we get everybody out of here.
Mhm.
Just real quick, I want everybody to know that Darkenhaven, we had some edits and things that we had to make. We have figured out how to do the bookmarking process. Camera Mandy was a witness to this.
Mm-hmm.
So Darkenhaven will have bookmarks.
Yay!
In the final PDFs that are going to be released here soon. Our hope is to be going to press. We're about a week late, but we needed to spend the time. We're hoping to go to press here in the next few days, and we're hoping to bring boxes of Darkenhaven to Gen Con. And in the same time frame, we'll be shipping out Darkenhaven to all of our marvelous friends who are in the States. We kind of got to hold off for people who are international because of the costs of shipping. But it is as magnificent as we promised. I'm very excited to show it. We're also, of course, working on Terror in Genzicon, the third Genzicon installment, which I think people are going to love. And yes, Josh, good question, right on time. We're working our little butts off on that. So I don't know what a full navigation panel means, but you'll be able to find all of the sections and the subsections just by clicking on the bookmark.
Within a book. Now, I don't think that we're able to cross, if you click on a portrait, I don't think we're able to cross bookmark to another PDF because these things come in separate PDFs.
No, but the bookmark
Yes.
in the portrait section will have all of the names. So if you're in the Game Master reference or in the GM book, the game book, you'll be able to have the other PDF. That's what I would have, is I'd have them all open, right? You'll be able to just find the name, click on the bookmark on the PDF and be right on the portrait and be right there.
Paul says audiobook or rewrite.
Damn it, Paul.
We should have We're working towards it, I should say. We are working towards.
Just everyone remember,
towards
we
it.
really are like 5 people in a phone booth. Okay, that's Gooey Cube. Gooey
It
Cube
has
is
to be
like
after Gen Con because otherwise our heads will literally just explode. So, yes, PDFs, headers, and stuff use navigation panel. I've done them before for editing stuff. Okay.
And
Oh,
we're
it's
very
good.
excited to see you all at Gen Con.
Yes.
Don't forget Gen Con Online with a Gooey Cube, which is Pam is running that up, but we have lots of folks who are helping. So you're going to be able to play games. Obviously, watch the Great Gooey Dungeon Game Show and win prizes as part of that. That's on Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So for you poor people on the West Coast, that's going to be 7 a.m. your time. And then backing up from that, Mountain Time is 8, and then Central Time is 9.
I'm putting in the chat a link to our GUICon online, and it is going to be. It's not letting me just copy it. Sorry, I'm trying to copy it out of my email, and it's not working. But basically, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be run through our Discord and on Roll20. We have amazing GM set up for it. And there's not that many spots available, so get in there early.
Yeah, get in there now. If you're in the stream and
Yeah.
you're thinking about participating, make sure you sign up because
It is a paid experience. $25 gets you access to all the events all weekend. $10 gets you access to all the events for a day. But all of that money is going towards stipends for the GMs and
all
the
for our
EOs.
GMs.
Yes.
All for our
So,
GMs.
yeah. Okay.
And
Awesome.
yes, Kintori, of course, we will be at GaryCon. In fact, my hope is that we have done a good job and fulfilled Guys and Gax by January in the digitals and then by February in the physicals. And if all goes as planned, we will be starting the Kickstarter for Guys and Gax 2 sometime in that time with Luke. We are pretty excited about the second installment. So we'll see how things progress.
Okay. Well, anything else before we head out?
That's all I got, Cameron.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play this spectacular video.
Yes, watch this. This is worth taking another couple minutes.
Yes. Okay. May all your adventures. Well, he went out, so I'll say may all your adventures be sticky.
I want to tell you a story.